bishop g5, rook e1, queen coming out. These moves are happening against the king and queen's will of the black army, and black doesn't have enough pieces that are joining the game to fight against it. I analyzed one line with a5. You play rook takes a3 first because the pawn is pinned. You don't need to play the move b5. And after rook a7, bishop g5, the initiative is just as crazy here with f6 and captures. Bishop to e3, rook e1 check is also possible. But bishop to e3, followed by the idea of doubling rooks quickly and bringing the knight to c7, is not only going to be winning the queen, but probably delivering checkmate in a lot of lines. So again, it's a fascinating idea when you see chess principles, the things we always love and like to think we adhere to, but as chess players, let's be often, most of the time we're too afraid to make these types of long-term sacrifices and give up the idea of being materially greedy over playing for an initiative that we sort of just have to believe in. But Leela believes in it, so now I'm a believer too. And again, a move like b4 doesn't slow it down. So this is a game that is predicated on the piece sacrifice made early. So if you're watching this and you're like, hey, like this is too much analysis, get to the meat. No. Dikembe Mutombo, this is the meat. We just saw a piece sacrifice on move 8 that is not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be on the board, but it is on the board. And hey, we're here. That's happening. So we have to figure this out and try to justify it to our brain. And again, so I'm looking at the position now. I'm like, well, there's no other way to save the knight. Giving it back doesn't seem to make sense, so let's go with what Stockfish did. Well, here comes e5. Again, we're slowing down development, and the immediate threat of bishop to g5 is what a lot of this sacrifice is predicated on. So black plays the move king f8. Once again, I already showed this idea of b4, but because I promised you I would give you every stone not unturned, I think I said that right, with b4. Bishop g5, now the queen is trapped, so you have to play f6. This is why you played king f8, right? You played king f8 to free the square e8, so the bishop to g5 would not allow the lady to be trapped, and therefore things like bishop g5 didn't have to be met by f6. So let's say you stop my development with b4 instead of king f8. Now you have to play f6. Here's how that doesn't work. Knight takes f6, rook e1 check, and after the king moves to f8, we have a3 yet again. This is the same idea, which is just mind-blowing to me. Shows how strong the initiative is. How often can you sacrifice a piece and then justify the fact that you're not going to settle on the square d2 for your knight? You want c3 because it heads to d5 and b5, where things get really nasty up in these squares. So you can afford a move like this. a3, b takes, b4 yet again. The idea is I want to bring my knight to c3. I want the rook to be able to capture here, and the pawns are not relevant at this point. Need more proof? I'll show you. Knight takes b4, knight to c3. Black is up a piece and a whole lot of pawns. But the threats here are, they are numerous. Let's see. Some of the most clear ones are actually queen to b3 and knight e5. This is a very common thing that you're going to see happen in a lot of variations. If you don't do anything in this position, there's moves like knight to e4 coming, taking here, and the bishop goes to h6 with check with queen b3. There's just so much to do here with white is dominating based on the lack of development of these pieces. So h6 is a main move. Let's try to force and trade pieces. Bishop takes and then rook takes a3 opens up another reason why we played b4 rather than taking back on a3 with a pawn. We want these access points on the king side. a5, queen to b1. This is a fun move because the main point is that after the queen comes to b1, queen takes b6 and knight b5, your queen is actually infiltrating over here to the king side light squares. Queen f6, knight f to d4 has a threat known as rook f3. And there's actually no way to stop it. Black is totally lost. Moving the king to g8 shows another reason why the queen is on b1, because we have rook e8 check, and the queen guards this particular square. So some other variations, but again, I feel like I've lived up to I'm showing you every stone without on turn to show you a way this could end is after takes, there's no way to deal with the rook. So you take, but here comes rook f3 check and rook e8 mate. And of course, if you play queen f6, I just win the queen, and then queen g6 is followed by rook e8 mate on the next move. So again, I'm showing a lot of variations here because the whole point of what we're trying to prove to ourselves is that a sacrifice of a piece on move 8 was not something that only Leela can do. We can do it too as mere mortals here in this game that we love. So after king f8, knight to c3, queen e8 was played. Again, there was no point in playing bishop g5 anymore because the king had already freed this square, so let's develop. The queen goes to e8 voluntarily. We put the rook on e1. Now, h6 was played. I'm going to show the other potential potentially critical moves. Don't worry, the end of this video is going to go fast because guess what? It's winning for Leela. Hashtag twist ending, White's crushing because Leela's amazing. Anyway, love my hat, by the way. I know you want one. I don't even know if they're even for sale, so I'm not going to do like one of those shout-outs of, oh, go to the merch store. I really don't even care if you buy chess.com merch. I don't even think these are available. They're kind of special and cool, but if you do, maybe they're, I don't even know. You can see for yourself. Look it up. All right, Rook E1 is played. So, H6 was played. Why was H6 played? Well, not only does it slow down bishop to G5, but it also stops knight to G5. In a lot of variations, this is an attacking move too. So, what we're going to see, though, is that White's ideas here are now they've been served and proven many times. The lack of development here means that as this position gets going, the initiative is going to be too much for Black. But the other idea that I think is super deep about the sacrifice, if we go back to just the fact that D5 was played to give up the bishop, and then D6 was played, Leela knew that Stockfish wasn't going to give up the knight, right? I had to analyze it from my brain, but let's say Leela knew this, right? Leela's gone deeper. So where's the long-term compensation? It's okay, it's based on the lack of development. We've talked about that. But also the dark squares that are being controlled. And as we got into the later game, I started to really understand how strong the threat of getting rid of this bishop was. If this dark square bishop falls, not only do these squares become access points for the knights, but also the dark squares for the bishop, both here and everywhere else, open up. And so what I want to show are a couple lines that let's say don't try to stop that, right? Let's say on the one hand, I've got H6. Well, let's say bishop D8 is played, right? Let's say we try to get that bishop out of danger and keep it, right? Just to show you how crazy strong the idea of getting rid of the dark square bishops is. Here, White plays bishop G5, voluntarily trading pieces just to get rid of that piece, with the main point being that once it's gone, the threat of coming into C7 is an absolute monster. The knight finds safety. Doesn't matter how you deal with this pawn now. Let me take it or defend it with something like B4. The knight comes into D5, and the threat of knight C7 is, at this point, forking the queen and rook. But even if it's just going here to force the queen to D8, and White continues to bring forward just natural attacking moves, the position is too much for Black. The knight is coming to F4. We have so many threats here. This knight can't get developed, by the way, without losing itself. The position is overwhelming. If that bishop disappears, we have serious problems. So part of the reason H6 was played was for the purpose of being able to bring the bishop to D8 without bishop G5 happening. That's what Stockfish did in the game. So knight to D5 comes. The bishop goes to D8. Now there's no bishop G5. But the move B4 is played. And now with locking up this side of the board, you're making it even harder to develop. There are two main ways to try to fix this problem. One is the move that was played in the game, A6. We're going to get to Stockfish's choice. I had to analyze the natural thing I would want to do as a human being here. I can't get this guy out, can't get this guy out, can't get the queen out, can't get these guys out, but if I could